Hello, I'm Hazel Butterworth. I'm a catalyst for self-awareness and self-realization.
And I'm Carmen Braga, and I'm a self-awakening mentor for women. And we are the co-owners of Healing Heart Center in Sherwood Park.
And you can find us at www.healingheartcenter.ca. Today's topic is forgiveness. What does that mean?
Well, forgiveness can be a very hot topic for some people. I know it used to be for me too. It was a big deal for me. So we wanted to break this down. First, we wanted to look at forgiveness of others is the first thing. And for me, what I found is that when we refuse to forgive others, we hold ourselves in the past, which doesn't allow us to ever move forward in life. We hold on to all that anger and that resentment and that past suffering and that past pain. But we think that we're actually punishing them by holding on to that. But the reality is we're only punishing ourselves when we hang on to all of that anger, right? It becomes like a perpetual feedback loop, which we keep on repeating the same thing over and over again, and we keep telling our story over and over again to pretty much anyone who will listen. And it's kind of like ripping the Band-Aid off over and over, where you're not allowing yourself to heal, okay? So what happens is this ends up keeping us in a type of prison, but it's a prison of our own making. And we're the only ones that can get ourselves out of that. And the way to do it is to forgive them for whatever happened. Now,
yeah. When you say forgive them, so some people, and this is where the question comes up, if you forgive somebody, there are some that say, if I forgive them, then that's saying it's okay what they did.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to forgive them because it's not okay what they did.
Exactly. Well, and I'm not condoning it. Not by any way, shape, or form am I ever condoning somebody harming another person. But we're not letting them get away with anything, right? We're just letting ourselves let go of the pain. That's what I'm getting at, because we're the ones who are suffering. They're not suffering. We are, when we keep hanging on to it. And to me, that's that forgiveness of others, because I went through that.
Yeah.
You know, my ex-husband was very abusive. I had a hard time in the beginning forgiving him for everything that happened, until I realized that I was the one who kept on telling the story. I was the one who kept on bringing it up and kept on perpetuating that old pain over and over and over again, and it was hurting me. And that's where I was able to step back and finally take back my power and say, you know what? No, I don't need to be suffering anymore. I don't need to be in pain anymore over this. And let it go.
Yeah. Like you said about taking back your power, and forgiveness really is about dissolving that discord and really restoring balance and harmony, and restoring yourself back to that being at ease, because it will eat away at you if you hang on to that anger and resentment. And if you, as you say, you hold on to that and you don't want to forgive, because a part of you, and it could be just what we've grown up to believe, or what we've been led to believe, or just what we've experienced, is if I forgive you, then does that negate what you've done? And it doesn't. As you say, if someone has been cruel or mean, that they have to have their responsibility for that. But where the freedom comes from is when you can acknowledge that that was their behavior, and while it was painful for you at the time, you're not experiencing that now in this moment.
Exactly.
Right? So by hanging on to that memory, by hanging on to that pain, that is what is eating away at you. I once asked a question, of someone who really, really, really likes to hold grudges. And maybe you hold grudges.
There's nobody like that, huh?
I think we've all held grudges at time, and it really, those grudges will influence how you behave or how you with that person in any future meetups. But not only that, it influences how you treat other people and how you treat yourself. So for this person who refused to give up, I asked the question, why won't you let go? And the answer was, if I let go, they've won. Okay, what does that mean? And I said, well, what does it mean they've won? And she said, they will know it doesn't bother me anymore. And there lies that big question. They will know that it doesn't bother her anymore. And so on some level of that grudge and that reminder is constantly reminding that person that you were mean to me, cruel to me. So that's influencing how you interact with them now, because you won't let them forget. But they've probably forgotten many years ago, and the only way they keep remembering is because you keep bringing it up. And you're not prepared to let go of it, right? It's just like they've moved on, but we don't move on. So the fact that, you know, that was the question I had. Well, if it doesn't bother you, isn't that a good thing? You're free of it. But on some level, still wanted to hold the grudge. That's a choice. That's a choice you make. You can continue to hold your grudges, or you can learn to look at forgiveness and look at the real meaning behind forgiveness and what that means to forgive somebody. And it's not saying it's okay. It's just saying it no longer defines me, or it no longer has that hold on me, or I'm no longer feeling the pain.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Because as you said, you had to do that quite a bit with your family and ex and
yeah, well, there was a lot of forgiveness had to go on in my world. But it was. But ultimately, it is so freeing when you can do this, because when you're not holding on to all that weight anymore, right, and all that anger and all that, it is that suffering. You keep on doing it over and over and over again to yourself, because they're not hurting you anymore. You know, I mean, here I was, 20 years later, still telling the same old story and bringing it up over and over again. Well, that's bringing up that pain and that suffering all over again. Well, I was only hurting myself at that point. I wasn't hurting him.
But again, that pain and suffering, there's the blame. Right? We blame others for our pains, but we're the ones that choose our emotions. Yet we're so quick to blame others about how we feel. And there might be an instance in that moment, this is how I feel, and you recognize that and you work through it. But the fact that you're still feeling that 10, 15, 20 years later is because you're the one that's choosing to keep that active, right?
It is your choice. Absolutely. So we're going to pause for a second for a quick commercial break here. All right. All righty. So I'm Carmen. She's Hazel. We're Healing Heart Center in Sherwood Park. And this is the inspiration station for self-awareness.
You're watching TVU, and to watch our show, click on the Health and Wellness channel. I'll say that again. Click on the Health and Wellness channel.
This is live. Okay.
All right. So we're back. Yes, that was interesting. We're trying different methods of how we can pop in our commercials, right? So, yes. So from forgiving others, I think one area that a lot of people don't realize for themselves is taking responsibility for themselves and self-forgiveness.
Absolutely. That's something that actually, I think the first time that ever came up for me, I had never even heard of it before.
No?
I'd never even heard.
I don't think too many people have.
Occurred to me that I had to forgive myself for anything. It was kind of a weird thing. And when I looked at it, I went, Oh, wow, there was a whole bunch of things.
Yes, it's a very deep issue for anyone who maybe has been attacked or been raped or any of that, because there's, on some level, there's a part of us that says we allowed it to happen, and we feel guilty.
Yeah.
And there's a whole slew of things that go in connection with that. But self-forgiveness is one of the most empowering things you can do. Anything, as we talk about in self-reflection, anything that's showing up on the outside, if we start with the inside, then it will reflect outside. So if we start with self-forgiveness, and let's look at those areas where perhaps we need to have a little bit more compassion and understanding for ourselves instead of the judgment and the criticism.
Well, yeah, I mean, we really do play judge, jury, and prosecutor in our lives, right? And we condemn ourselves most of all, I think. And
more than others condemn us.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And yet we do think that they are, but they're not. It's actually us doing this to ourselves, right? We have so much sympathy and so much empathy for other people and what they go through, but we don't give that to ourselves. We refuse sometimes to let ourselves off the hook for whatever our supposed, in some cases, people think these are sins, whatever they've done. They're sins. There's something really bad. When the reality is, chances are it's not really that bad.
No.
Right? And I mean, yes, there are really bad things that people have done. That's a different topic altogether. But for what we're talking about, most of the time, you really haven't done anything wrong. All you've done is had a human experience. And that's what we came here for. We came here to get the experiences. So you got the experience. Now it's time to move on. We learn from that experience. We get the message if there's a message in it, and then we move on, because we have to keep on moving through life.
Forgiveness is actually loving. It's a way of expressing love. So whether forgiving other people or forgiving yourselves, if you're forgiving yourself, that's a big component of self-love, that being kind, compassionate, and understanding. And so if you were to take a few moments and really sit with that and ask yourself, do I forgive myself? First of all, do you forgive other people? Do you forgive yourself? It's a good question to ask. Where is that showing up? But self-forgiveness, I think, I had a young mom whose first baby, and baby was struggling with the formula. So change formulas, and then baby would come out with hives and have a bad reaction, then change the formulas and something else, and then something else, and then you go to almond milk, and then went through all the hoops. And her child was getting more sick or having more allergic reactions. And she thought she was the worst mum because she was creating this. Her child was in pain and suffering. And in the end, it turned out there was a lactose, or there was something, whatever it was, they did find out the cause for it, right? Which meant, but then she felt guilty because she had been feeding all these different formulas and creating more disharmony in the body. She felt guilty. And it was that point that I asked her about self-forgiveness, because she was being so hard on herself. And here's something to remember. We all function and operate with the awareness and the conscious awareness that we have in this moment. So when she was feeding and trying her best to give her child that formula or a new formula or try something different, she was doing everything in her power to help her child. She had no idea why it wasn't working. So at the end of it, she was still hanging on to that, being annoyed at herself, having that grudge against herself, and again, prosecutor, judge, and jury, right? That I'm a bad mum. And it's like, no, you're not. You did everything in your power. And so that was a forgiveness thing that she went through, is to forgive herself for making her baby sick. It wasn't her.
Exactly.
But she took it on as it was her fault.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people do.
They do.
A lot of people
right?
do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Time for another commercial.
I will take a moment to check in with our sponsor.
Okay, so this is Hazel and Carmen from Healing Heart Center. This is the inspiration station for self-awareness.
And you're watching the Health and Wellness channel. So then let's look at what can our viewers do from here on. Like, the important thing is now is again to step out to judge a jury.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take that off the plate. But it's important that you do take some time to have just have a ponder and see where forgiveness is either has shown up or needs to show up, or what is your understanding of forgiveness first. And you may have to do a little bit more research. You may just want to sit with yourself and say, can I really forgive that person? And it might at this moment seem like a far leap. How can you possibly forgive someone who hurt you so much?
Yeah.
And you hear about it in the courts, in the jails,
Mm-hmm.
and people who've done a real not nice thing. And they say, how could you possibly forgive them? But again, as Carmen said earlier, remember, it's not condoning what they did. It's setting yourself free from what they did.
Yeah.
And being able to not carry that burden as much. So
Mm-hmm. Well, and for me, I did self-journey. That was my ticket out of it, actually, was going within myself and looking at the situation, looking at what had happened, and making that conscious choice to stop carrying that.
Mm-hmm.
I really had to make that choice that I wasn't going to carry that with me any longer. I had already suffered enough.
Mm-hmm.
Why did I want to continue to do that?
Mm-hmm.
So I made that choice to just stop. But I was also, like I said, I did it through self-journey. And I mean, you know, because you were there. I was pretty diligent with my self-journey.
Carmen's a really good one for doing homework and for doing her studies. Very diligent. But yeah, it's self-journey is important. Journaling is another good one. You can write a letter. And here's the thing, if you're writing a letter, a forgiveness letter, you can write your letter. And I've done that. And I forgive this person for this. The beauty of journaling that way is you have an opportunity to express yourself freely. You can say, I was really hurt, I'm really mad at you, you know, like this is tough for me, whatever words you write is so empowering. You're not going to give that letter to that person. It's just something you do within you. Mm-hmm. To forgive them. So you don't have to say, here's a letter, I forgive you. It's because it's all about you. Right? Healing Hearts is all about you. So what can you do for yourself? Well, you can do the journey. You can do the self-writing.
Sometimes these people are past too.
Yes, sometimes people have passed over. Absolutely. Yeah. And so why are you still letting them define you when they've even passed on? So you're not even going to bump into them in the physical world type thing. So here's a phrase for you. And it could be as simple as this. Up until now, I refuse to forgive you, right? In this moment, that is your tipping point. That is your catalyst. In this moment, what are you going to do? And sometimes it could be, some of them are as easy as saying, I'm just going to let that go. Mm-hmm. And it can be that simple. Others might need some more journey, right? Exactly. And look through it. But really encourage you to.
Well, it's a healing journey.
It is.
It really is. And it depends on how deep the wound is.
Yes.
Because some things are easier to forgive than others.
Yes.
Right? And that's why we do what we do.
Yes.
That's why we help people to go through that and to find out where this is coming from, how to let these things go, and how to heal from these situations.
And it's very healing, very freeing.
Yeah.
And it takes so much off. Well, it takes so much off your agenda, right? And you can, instead of working with those paradigms of that you're angry because this person did that, that is no longer within you. So when you come across other people, you haven't got that. It's not your starting point. Mm-hmm. And then you're not suspicious, wondering if they're going to treat you the same, because that's where we get the paradigms. All men are bad. No, they're not. All women are bad. No, they're not. All kids. No, they're not. Right? Everybody is unique and individual, but remember, we're all one. So as we forgive in here, that radiates out. We change, and our outer world changes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and it is about finding that peace within you. Because when you can find that peace within, oh my gosh, it does. It changes absolutely everything. It changed my life. Totally changed my life.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
because I used to be a very angry person.
She was very short-tempered,
Yeah.
very angry, very critical.
Yep.
Yep.
Look at me now.
Quick to judge. Yes, yes.
Stop sharing all my secrets.
We've all done it, varying degrees. We've all been that vicious person. We've all been that, judgmental, critical, and jumped down someone's throat. We've all done it,
Yeah.
right? But do you want to continue to do that?
Exactly.
Is the question.
Oh, it's all choice.
It is choice.
Every bit of it.
So that's today's forgiveness of others. Have a look at that. Forgiveness of yourself, which is really, I would start there. Because as you forgive things within yourself, then sometimes some of the things just dissolve. So start with yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right.
And if you are needing help with forgiveness, please reach out. You can find us on our website, which is healingheartcenter.ca, and you can book a session with either Hazel or myself.
We do introductory calls, so you can do a free introductory call with us and see. That's where we get to see where the waters lie and to see what you're looking for help for or help with, and to see if we'd be good to work together and take you through a journey and help you to get to that freedom and that self-awareness and that self-awakening. So it's there as an option for you. We'd love to see you on board.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you're on Facebook, come and join us. We have an awesome Facebook group called Ignite Peace Within, and you're more than welcome to come and join that group as well.
Yeah. And Wednesday afternoons we do a live there. It's about 20 minutes. We do a live each week, so more topics to cover there. Alrighty.
Yeah, we cover a few things.
Yes. We have lots to share. Alrighty. So thank you for being with us. You've been watching TVU and the Wellness channel, Health and Wellness channel, and Carmen Bregan, Hazel Butterworth. And thank you. Until next time, be kind to yourself.
Have a great day, everybody. Bye.
Bye.